I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here with Bonnie Turner. She is a patient recovering in our thyroid recovery program, and Bonnie wanted to share a little bit about her story with us. So, Bonnie, what kind of problems were you having with your health prior to coming here? I guess you had quite a bit of weight gain, a lot of energy issues, not feeling well. Is that pretty true?
It's very true, yes.
Yeah. So when you say you had low energy, what do you mean?
I had no energy.
No energy. So you'd pretty much go do your job for a few hours and then...
Then I'd go home and sit down, fall asleep in the chair when I got home.
Right.
Which I used, and then I'd go to bed and I'd go back to sleep.
Okay.
That's it.
So that was pretty much it. Sleep, get up, work, go back to sleep.
That's it.
Yeah. And how long had you been putting weight on for?
Few years.
Few years. Okay, good. And so you came to our office and we did a consultation and an exam, and then I had recommended some blood work. When the blood work came back, did we explain that to you real clear?
Yes, you did.
Good.
Thank you.
And you were mentioning that you'd gone to physicians before and you never even heard of the results of your lab test.
Nope. They just said, "Oh, this is good, this is bad." And that's
Right.
it.
Right. And so when you were probably kind of baffled that why they couldn't see anything wrong in your blood work, and yet I saw all kinds of problems. And as we explained to you, we use what's called functional ranges. Those are for what we use to make people healthy. Whereas these lab ranges are so wide and big, my opinion is it's kind of just so you're not dead. All right, so but we want to make sure that you get healthy. So so you've been on the program for a few months, all right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about how you're doing now.
Well, I'm losing weight.
Yeah, how much weight have you
I've
lost?
lost 45 pounds.
45 pounds. My goodness.
Yep.
That's four babies,
That's
right?
45 pounds.
That's good for you, hon. Good. And how's your energy doing?
Much better.
Much better,
Yep.
right. And to get your energy up and to lose that weight, did we tell you to starve and not ever eat or do some dumb diet or something like that?
No.
No, as a matter of fact, I told you to eat more food than you were eating before.
Yes, you told me to eat more vegetables, more fruits.
Yeah. And
Quite happy with that.
Very good, excellent. And so one of the reasons why we do these videos is that if somebody is skeptical about what we can do, some people say, well, what's a chiropractor going to do for thyroid patients? And well, first of all, that's my health issue that I had for many years, and finally found the right doctor to fix it. And it was not a physician, it was not an endocrinologist, it was a chiropractor. And now that we do that in our office, if somebody was skeptical with their thyroid problem about having care in my office, what would you say to them?
Don't be skeptical. Come on in.
Good.
Because you know what you're doing.
Right. Very good. Good.
Really
and were we clear in our explanations and telling
Yes.
you what it is? And we were upfront about fees and time and money. It was all written out for you. Good.
Yes.
I think you even had a couple treatments before you had to make your decision, so that was helpful for you to decide. Very good. So if somebody's out there with a thyroid problem, what would you suggest for them to do?
Contact you.
Very good. All right.
I really
Great.
would.
Good. Thank you. So thank you very much, Bonnie. I really appreciate you taking the time today to help me help other people with all that. I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here with Bill Penn from San Marcos. And he graciously offered to do a video testimonial for us. So, Bill, tell me a little bit about the health issues that you had before you came in here, and what kind of things did you do before you came to my office?
Mainly, I was suffering from the peripheral neuropathy. The foot and the leg pain was the biggest problem. I couldn't sleep at night, and I was hoping to get off the medications, and I was trying acupuncture before I met you, and I went to a chiropractor for some treatment. And I needed to get off the pain. That wasn't relieving the pain very much. So.
Right. Okay. And you said that you had some temporary relief using those other means, but
temporary.
didn't really fix it.
That's right.
Okay. And how did you happen to come be a patient in our office? How'd you find us?
I saw your advertisement on email.
Okay.
Email came through, probably Facebook. I believe
Right.
it was, inviting me to a workshop.
Okay.
So I was happy that I came to that.
Good, yeah. And so, when we made an offer at the end of the workshop, what made you decide that that sounded like a good idea?
Well, I was pretty impressed with all the testimony from all the previous patients, and you were pretty straightforward. I liked your presentation. I figured that would be something I wanted to give a try.
Good, excellent. So, so you came into our office and we did the evaluation. And when it came time for me to make my recommendations, was I real straightforward with you about time and finances and the your responsibilities and my responsibilities?
Yeah, you were very straightforward.
Good,
Very.
excellent, good. So here we are, 4 months, 5 months later, right? And so tell us how you're doing now.
I'm feeling much better.
Good.
My energy level is up. My pain level is probably about a 4,
Okay,
or maybe a 3
Okay.
at night. I
Great.
used to have the pain that was a 9 or a 10, and so I'm able to rest and to sleep better, and I can go through most of the day without any pain most days.
wonderful.
And then at night a little bit of discomfort, which is normal,
Right.
but not nearly as bad as it was. So
Good.
it's much better.
Fabulous, fabulous. And so, you've dropped a little bit of weight since you've been here?
15 pounds so far.
Excellent, very good. And you weren't a chubby guy either, huh? You really
I
trimmed
feel
up.
good about that.
Excellent.
Really good, yeah.
And then also, part of the issue was blood sugar. You were having,
Right.
you're diabetic and you take medication. And so what's happened to your blood sugar since you've been coming here?
I've been looking at the numbers every morning, and it's consistently low now
Excellent,
by, I would say, over 20-25 points on average,
wonderful, good,
and it's staying at a pretty level.
beautiful, beautiful.
So
And if I remember correctly, you're talking to your physician about dropping some of the meds, is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Awesome. Good for you, Bill. So, Bill, one of the main reasons why we do these videos is that people are very skeptical, and I understand that. If somebody was contemplating coming to our office to see if they were a good candidate for one of our recovery programs, what would you tell them?
I would say this program is worth a try. It worked great for me. I would highly recommend it. I've already recommended it to several people.
Very good.
So hopefully they'll come see you.
Very good.
It works.
Very good. Well, hey, Bill, you sure been a great guy to work with, and I sure appreciate your attitude. And oh yeah, another quick question here. You mentioned that you're sure enjoying the golf game now, huh?
Oh, it's much better.
Much better, yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing consistently at least once a week, and the game's getting better. I'm not exhausted by the end of the round like I used to be.
Excellent. And your balance is better, and you're
much
hitting the
better.
ball better. Good.
Mhm.
So for all our golfers out there, they'll want to know about that. So anyway, Bill, hey, thank you very much. Really appreciate it for the time, and great working with you. And you have yourself a great day.
Thank you.
Very good.
Take care.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here with Tony Albright from Vista. And she's gracefully offered to give us some information about her care and problems here. So Tony, before you came into our office, what kind of health problems were you having?
I was having problems with my thyroid.
Okay, and how was that affecting you?
Just tired all the time, had no energy, weight gain,
Mm-hmm.
just all in all felt terrible.
Right. And had you tried any kind of care or treatment for your thyroid before that?
Just the thyroid medication that my normal doctor put me on.
Okay, all right. And so when you found us from a workshop, right? You came
Correct.
into one of our
Correct.
workshops. What was it about the workshop that made you decide that this would be something you wanted to check into?
A lot of it was your testimony about that you had gone through,
Mhm.
and they had a speaker there, and I talked to her, or I listened to her talk, and then afterwards I talked to her. But it was finally somebody got what I was going through.
Good.
Yeah, finally somebody understood, because I go to my normal doctor and say, well, here, take this pill. Let's up it. Let's lower it. And it's just a merry-go-round.
Right. And so when you did come in, were we really straightforward about what we were going to recommend as far as
Completely.
time and treatment and money and all of that? Very, very clear for you?
Everything was clear right up front.
Beautiful, great. And so we're here at 6 weeks into the care program, and you're doing better.
Doing amazingly better.
Amazingly better.
Yeah.
So first of all, you've lost how much weight?
18 pounds.
18 pounds, right? And when we decided, we did the labs and we found out what problems are going on, things that medical doctors hadn't been looking at or even bothering to check into. how hard was it for you to put into the new lifestyle that I recommended for you to do?
Just a slight adjustment because you have to realize it is a lifestyle change.
Right.
Yeah. And, you have to figure out, do I want to be healthy? Do I want to be unhealthy?
Right. And then after a week or two, you said you kind of got the hang of it, and no big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah. And so now you mentioned today that being the Christmas time and you were out shopping and you went to Mexican food and ate some things that aren't good for you.
Correct.
And what happened after that?
I felt terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like bloated and all that I hadn't been experiencing, but angry.
Right.
My personality changed completely.
Right.
And I could tell that I was just angry.
Right. And it's interesting because with my patients, and I found this with myself, I didn't even realize how much pain I was in or how angry I was or frustrated and how difficult I was until I got healthy. And then I accidentally or purposely put something in my mouth that made me sick again.
Yeah.
And so good experience to figure out, right?
Right. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So Tony, the main reason why I do these videos is because people are very skeptical. To go to a chiropractor to have thyroid help or weight loss or all the different things we do. If somebody was skeptical about coming into my office, what would you tell them?
Go for it. I was skeptical. I really was. And I came to the workshop and I thought, what have I got to lose?
Right.
And I listened to the lady's testimonial and I talked to her and I thought, okay, I'll come back for the consultation. And it's an eye-opener.
Right.
Yeah, total lifestyle change, my health, my attitude, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, Tony, if this is okay, I remember you sitting in that chair six and a half weeks ago, and you were at wit's end, weren't you?
I was done.
You were done.
I was done.
You told me that either this works or I'm going to find a way to get out of here. And I enjoy hearing you do so much better because you definitely have a great heart and a good person. And matter of fact, you're even sharing recipes and everything with the, and so you're kind of our little Betty health cooker crocker, thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just really so happy that you're doing so well. And the good news is that it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the energy, the weight, everything. And so I just want to say thank you very much, Tony, for taking the time today, and I sure wish you a real good day.
Oh, well, thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here with Gary King from Temecula. And Gary wanted to share his experience in our office with his great recovery with peripheral neuropathy in our office. So, Gary, tell me a little bit about the symptoms that you had before you came into the office.
I had numbness in the tips of my toes that started working progressively back through the rest of my feet, and it was really agonizing. It was tingly, burning numbness, which I guess are the symptoms of peripheral neuropathy.
Okay. And was this affecting your life in any way?
Yeah, it was causing me to just discomfort every waking hour. The only time I was okay was when I was sleeping.
Okay.
Every waking hour it was painful, and I wasn't a happy guy.
Okay, right. And you'd done into some other doctors before you came to our office?
I went to my doctor, sent me to a neurologist, and they prescribed drugs, which none of them worked. And then I tried a supplement off the internet that didn't work, and then I tried a cold laser boot, and it didn't work. And finally, I was lucky enough to hook up with you.
Okay, good. And how did you happen to find us?
On an ad you put on Facebook.
Okay. And then you came to one of my workshops?
Correct.
Yeah. And so what was it about my workshop that made you think that this was something worth trying?
I could tell that you knew what you were talking about, and that you were a straightforward guy, and with everything that you laid out. And I was at the end of my rope. I had to try something, and you seemed to be to fit the bill for me.
Good. Yeah, I remember that first meeting. You were one desperate guy. You were very concerned about your not only your health, but your ability to support your family and to keep working. And
I've got a lot of years left to support my family, and I needed help.
Right. And so when you did come in, first of all, did we do the things we said we were going to do? And no surprises or no weird things when I said I was going to do my exam and some X-rays and tell you if I could help you or not.
You guys were very timely with everything you did.
Yeah, and we did no surprises, right?
Nope.
Okay, great. And so then you came into the office, and you after we did the evaluation, and I gave you the packet that says this is what we need to do, and this is the time and the money and all that. When you made the decision to get started with the care, here we are 4.5, 5 months later. How are you doing now?
Great. I've lost 40 pounds. I'm looking and feeling much better. My feeling in my feet have gone from, on a scale of 10, from 2s and 3s to 6s and 7s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping going forward with the proper diet and exercise that you've shown me, I'll continue to improve.
Great, that's good. So if a lot of times why we're doing these videos is because people are very skeptical, and I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like yourself, they go to all these different doctors and try something else and pay for booties that don't do you any good, and these kind of things. So if somebody was skeptical about coming into my office to see if this was something I could help them with, what would you say?
I would say don't do what I did and waste your money on all these things that don't work. And what I really like about you, Dr. Harper, is everything's natural. There's no drugs or surgeries involved. Everything's stuff that's good for you.
Great.
And that's what really worked for me, I think.
Good, beautiful. And just one last question. As far as my staff and how we treated you, did we show you with respect and treat you right?
Everybody was really good.
Awesome, very good. That's great. Well, hey, Gary, I'm really happy for you. Like I said, when I met you 5 months ago, I saw the desperation in your eyes and the fear. And now you come in, you're a good-looking dude now with all that weight off, and you're feeling
like a
really
new man.
good, like the new man.
Yeah.
And then also you said the family's taken on some of these healthy attitudes and changes.
My oldest boy mostly. He's in high school. He's in 11th grade, and he's wanting to look and feel good, for girls and stuff.
Yeah, good. Well, he's a smart guy, just like his dad. Yeah, just like his dad. So, hey, Gary, I want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're a great guy. I enjoy working with you, and I sure hope you have a great day.
Great, thanks.
Hi, my name's Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here to introduce you to metabolic weight loss and permanent health. What a travesty, what a shame that somebody trying to get healthy, trying to lose weight, goes to doctors, goes to different companies, and they tell them this is what you do, take this pill, eat this pre-made food, take these vitamins, do this exercise, eat this kind of food, and you'll lose weight, you'll be healthy. And it is such a shame that we try so hard and then we don't make it. And not only do we not necessarily lose the weight, but we gain a lot more weight. And I have helped so many patients with this problem. I've helped myself with weight loss. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just want to say congratulations for being here today, for taking the time to watch this video, to learn exactly what we do in our office, how do we help people lose the weight, get their joy of life back, get out there and enjoy things, feel comfortable with themselves, feel comfortable in their clothes, maybe even out of their clothes, maybe at the beach or at a pool or something like that. It's just an amazing thing to see the joy and the happiness that happens when people get better and get down to their normal healthy weight. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, what causes a person to be overweight, and what can be done to get you fit, trim, and healthy again? Well, before we get into all that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in private practice here in Oceanside since 1986. I have personally examined, consulted, and treated over 7,250 patients during that time. A lot of experience in how to listen to people and how to get to the bottom of the problem. I'm a board member of the American Functional Neurology Institute. You might say, well, what does neurology have to do with losing weight and being healthy? Well, we're going to talk a lot about that soon. I've been granted numerous awards and certifications in my 29 years of practice. I regularly attend conferences, symposiums, to stay on the ahead of the newest research and diagnostics and protocols. I pride myself to do this. There's been studies that show that most physicians are 17 years behind on studying, and I'm going to conferences 3, 4, 5 a year all around the United States from all kinds of different professions to learn the best. How am I going to help you the best? How am I going to be able to serve my patients better than anybody else can? Personally, I'm a third generation Southern California, very proud of that. I live right here in Oceanside. I have 4 children, and at this time I have four grandchildren. I'm pretty sure in the future we'll be having some more. So every time I do a talk or a video, I always tell my story. And this is very pertinent this time. On and off throughout the better part of my life, I've struggled with my weight. I was a kind of a chunky kid, and then in later years of high school, I became morbidly obese. I was over 300 pounds. I thought that by exercise and dieting, I could lose the weight, and I did. But there was something else that was going on, and as the years went by, I just put the weight back on. And kind of to my embarrassment, this is me. This is me when I weighed about 333 pounds. Now I'm 6'4", but even 333 pounds is way too much. And it was very difficult. I had all kinds of health problems. I lost a relationship that was very important to me because of my weight gain at that time. It takes a lot of fun out of things. You can't do things. You're embarrassed to go, like I said, to the beach or pools or things like that, or wear not too much clothes. I would sometimes even wear a big bulky sweater in the middle of summer. And here in Oceanside, that wasn't too great. What finally happened is, just 3 years ago, found a doctor, and he is practices functional medicine and functional neurology, and I'll talk about what those things are here soon. But working with this doctor and getting to using labs and different exam procedures, we got to the underlying cause of my health issue. He put me on the right supplements, right kind of foods to eat, and it was amazing. The weight just fell off. I use the analogy, it fell off like my tight shoe could. And I wasn't hungry and I wasn't crabby. People were just amazed. Even in a month I lost quite a bit of weight. And now I'm still working on it and still getting the weight down, but it's an amazing thing that you can really lose weight. I'm a good 53 pounds lighter. Doing body analysis, that was actually about 64 pounds of fat. I put 11 pounds of muscle on in that time, and not that difficult, not that hard. Once you get to the underlying cause of what's causing you to be fat, it gets taken care of. And I want to let you know, if you're using willpower or deprivation to lose the weight, then you're doing something wrong, because the body doesn't work that way. The things that you keep from it and deprive it are the things that it wants the most. Even sugar addiction. I was terribly addicted to sugar. I could eat a whole carton of ice cream at one sitting. I could go through 2 boxes of large boxes of cookies, and just mindlessly eating and feeling very sick. And now, no big deal. I just had the holidays here and numerous parties with cookies and cakes and pies, and none of it interested me, nothing at all. I enjoy my good health, and I don't feel deprived at all. So I just want to let you know, if you're an overweight person and you're watching this with me, I feel bad for you. I really do, because I felt bad for myself. And one of the really great things that's happened is I really like myself now. I'm very confident and feel good, and know that I'm a reasonably fit person, and that I'm not the fat guy in the room anymore, and that's nice. So let's get on to the talk and tell you how this all happened. So let's talk about what's not going right. Something's really wrong. United States and all the countries in the world, we're ranked 50th in life expectancy, longevity. We're the most obese nation in the world. Yet we spend more money than anybody else on, quote, healthcare per person than any other nation. So, something's really kind of off kilter here. So something's very wrong. What is that? Well, first of all, it starts kind of with the way that we eat. And that's kind of a standard thing that we all know. We wait too long between meals, too many refined carbohydrates, too much processed fast food, not enough whole, real food. We wait until we're hungry to eat, which may sound kind of strange, but I'll point out why later. We eat until past the point of being full. We definitely don't put enough protein into our bodies, and we eat for psychological reasons, and a lot of that has to do with the marketing. Hey, look on the TV, people are eating this fast food, and they look like they're having a good time, and I don't feel very happy, so maybe I should go to that restaurant and eat some of that fast food, and maybe I'll be happy or be part of a party like this commercial shows. So there's more to it as well. So our, quote, healthcare model is really based on a reactive model. It's really more disease care. So really we wait for something to go wrong, and then we treat the symptoms with medication. Rather than getting to the bottom of the cause of the problem, we just try to cover it up. This model works very, very well with acute problems, like trauma and broken bones, heart attacks, trouble birthing babies. Boy, you get a problem like that, United States, number one, perfect place to do that. But this approach does not work with chronic health problems, and obesity and being overweight is a chronic health problem. See, traditional medicine looks at problems in a linear fashion, this to this to this, and that works really good for their marketing, because then if you have this problem, then you have to take this pill, and that really works well for selling a lot of medications. But the truth is our body's an integrated organism. All right, there's lots of parts going on. So anytime you affect one system, it's going to affect another system, and we're going to get into that really soon here. So why is there too much fat in your body? I look at this and oh my gosh, a giraffe would never get fat like that. Well, the truth is that we're not built to get fat. There may be some predisposition in your family. You might have quite a few people that are overweight, and there might be some genetic predisposition for that. But the bottom line is that there's people in that family that aren't overweight. And why is that? So let's find out here. So is it just from bad diet? Is it just from lack of exercise? And is it just from bad genes? Well, absolutely not. That's not it at all. And multiple studies prove this to be true, that it's just not the food, not just the lack of exercise, and it's just not your genes. So then why? Why do we have this problem? Why is this such a huge issue here in the United States? Well, it's because a lot of people in the United States are metabolically sick. Metabolically sick. So when you're metabolically sick, you gain weight. You have fat gain. As you gain more fat, you become more metabolically sick, and that makes you gain more fat. So it's a downward spiral, or what I say, it's the hamster in the wheel. You're going round and round and round, but you're not going anywhere. So let's get into this, what's going on here. So at this point of our discussion here, I'd like you to do me a huge favor. I'd like you to take everything you've ever learned or ever knew about health care, disease treatment, obesity, the whys, the why nots. Please just take that and kind of ball it up in a little ball, and then take that out of your head for the next bit of time here, and just open up your mind and listen to what I have to say. I'm going to speak the truth to you. I want you to be happy and healthy like I am. I want you to lose that weight and look in the mirror and go, hey, not too bad, all right? Or maybe a significant other, saying, hey, look at you, hot stuff. That would be really great things to happen. So to open up your mind and forget all that marketing and all that nonsense that they try to get you to, spend your money on stuff that doesn't work. Just give me some time here and open your mind. So all chronic health conditions, including obesity, have some common threads. So like I said, like things like obesity, thyroid conditions, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, which is also known as metabolic syndrome, peripheral neuropathy, vertigo balance disorders, insomnia, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, chronic neck and back pain, irritable bowel syndrome, Alzheimer's, depression, anxiety, again, obesity, chronic migraine headaches, and ADHD, ADD, spectral disorders. All of these conditions are things that I take care of in my office. And I know a lot of people look at this and they say, oh, you know, jack of all trade, specialist in none. Well, that's not true because I specialize in chronic health conditions. So when you have a chronic health condition, they have some common threads. So on a metabolic side, on how the chemistry of your body works, you could have anemia, thyroid dysfunctions, unstable blood sugar, adrenal gland dysfunction. You can have hormone imbalances. You can have autoimmune attacks. Definitely going to talk about all of these. Hidden infections, food sensitivities, chronic inflammation, hormone imbalances. You can have issues with your medications that are causing lots of side effects and problems that are causing you to be fat. So you also have neurological imbalances. That's your brain, your spinal cord, and all your peripheral nerves. So you can have decreased frequency of firing of the brain, and that's known as brain fatigue. So the issue is that your brain tells your body how to take the food and make energy and keep the body clean, and the brain needs that energy and it needs the body to be clean so the brain can work right, tell the body how to work and how to do all those things. So what tends to happen is one goes down, the other goes down, and then the other goes down, the other goes down. So it's kind of the race to hell. So what my job is to find out what is the thing that's going on, what's the metabolic imbalances, what's the neurological imbalance, and let's work on those things, get them both done at the same time, and that creates a healthy person. So what is metabolism? Well, really simply is that it's taking food, eating food, and making it energy. Now that's pretty simple because your body actually has about 10,000 chemical reactions every minute, right? Think about that for a second. 10,000 chemical reactions every minute. So think of 10,000 people all together, all doing different things, yet all being coordinated at the same time. So you can understand that that's quite a difficult feat. So, but I'm going to break it down, make it really simple. Eat food, make energy. So 30% of our energy goes to a specific system. Is it the endocrine, digestive, nervous, immune, or cardiovascular? And the answer is, it's your nervous system, your brain, spinal cord, and your nerves. See, if you have a metabolic problem, your brain will not work right. Because your brain is the most metabolically active organ in your body. It only takes up about 5% of your body weight, but it uses almost a full third of the total energy. So poor hormone balance, how do you know you got some brain issues going on? Well, your hormones could be out of balance. You could have depression, anxiety, low motivation, memory loss, brain fog. And, I just saw an article that just said, being forgetful and these kind of things, brain fog, is normal with old age. Well, that's baloney. What's normal is not, what's average is not normal. It's average because we don't take good care of this wonderful machine that we've been given. And because we don't take care of it properly, it doesn't work properly. And so if you're depression, anxiety, low motivation, memory loss, brain fog, hormone imbalances, you got a brain issue, all right? The brain is not working the way it's supposed to because it's not getting what it needs. So let's talk a little bit about the consequences of obesity. You probably already know all this as well. Type 2 diabetes. Oh my goodness, your body starts having trouble with the blood sugar, and that just makes you fatter. And gosh, number one cause of blindness, number one cause of amputation, number one cause of kidney disease. So there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to get type 2 diabetes. Fatigue, oh my gosh, just hauling all that weight around is exhausting. When I lost my first 16 pounds, my doctor suggested I go bowling. And not the most efficient way to exercise. And he says, no, I want you to pick up a 16-pound ball and walk from one end of the lanes to the other end of the lanes and then walk back and look at how much weight you've lost, and so you're making it easier for your body so you have more energy. Chronic inflammation. This comes about with heart problems. This starts causing swelling in the hands and the feet, sweating, brain fog and brain issues, musculoskeletal problems, hauling all that weight, back problems, knee problems, feet problems, and again, the cardiovascular complications of trying to push so much blood through all that fat to try and get the nutrition all the way right there. The worst thing for me, I don't know about you, but for me, it was my poor self-image. Here I'm a doctor, and I'm supposed to be an example of good health, and I wasn't. I was huffing and puffing and all this, and I was sick in the practice, and it was embarrassing. Also, I'm a role model for my 4 kids, and now my grandkids, and I wasn't. Here was this big, huge, giant blob. And it was embarrassing. But, now they're like, hey, look at you, Dad, or hey, Grandpa. My little granddaughter, she says, half of Grandpa moved. And, she's not too far off with that. So, it's great. And now I'm doing more fun things with my grandkids, and we're out playing. Matter of fact, we were at the park the other day, and my soon-to-be 7-year-old granddaughter says, Grandpa, let's race. And, not that long ago, from here to there, 4 or 5 feet I can race. We went a good 40 yards, and she's like, Grandpa, you're fast. And, eventually I did let her win. So anyway, but, that poor self-image, oh my gosh, what a killer. That's tough. So there's really comes down to 4 essentials of fat loss and having good health. Proper metabolism, the chemistry of your body. Putting in the right nutrients, like a good, a car that uses the extra grade gas. That's the way you want to do that. You want proper exercise. Now, when I say exercise, I don't mean about killing yourself at the gym. You don't have to do that. If you enjoy that kind of thing, that's great. But you really don't have to. It's really actually pretty simple exercise that I have most of the patients doing. And you got to have proper brain function. You got to have all 4 for permanent fat loss and health. And it's really important that you understand, hey, any knucklehead can lose weight. It's keeping it off is the hard part. Do you know the companies that you go and they tell you what to eat and give you the prepared food and you microwave it and all that good stuff? 90% of their business is repeat customers. You know that? Do you know these companies would go out of business without the repeat customers? Why? Because what happens is if somebody says, oh, I did this company and I lost the weight, and I didn't keep doing what they told me to do, so I'm going to go back. Well, see, the problem is that if you don't have proper metabolism or the nutrition, brain function, and exercise, the weight will come back. You can temporarily force it to go down, but if you don't have that underlying cause fixed, you're going to always drift back to the old ways. So the top metabolic disturbances that causes obesity is poor gut function, which is infections, food intolerances, dysbiosis, which is not having the right kind of bacteria in your stomach, your digestive system, unstable blood sugar, leptin resistance, adrenal dysfunction, thyroid dysfunction, very big, that was my issue, anemia, chronic infection, autoimmune condition, again, my issue, hormone imbalances, and toxicity. So let's talk about poor gut function and the gut-brain connection. So you ever hear of Hippocrates, right? The guy that came up with the Hippocratic Oath, first of all, do no harm. All physicians in, I believe, the whole world, but for sure the United States, this is the oath that they take at graduation. And anyway, he's the father of medicine, and he said, look to the gut. There you'll find the origin of almost all illness, human illness. And it's kind of an amazing thing that this guy, and forgive me, 2,000, 2,500 years ago, I'm not quite sure when he was around, but I'll tell you this, this is what we talk about now. People who do functional medicine, the first place we always look is your digestive system to figure out what's going on there. Because if you can't get even if you eat the right food and that's not working right, your body can't get the use of it. So poor gut functions almost always due to one of four things or combinations. Food intolerances, so gut infections, leaky gut syndrome, dysbiosis, all of these cause inflammation. And the only thing that all chronic health problems, from cancer to peripheral neuropathy to thyroid conditions, heart conditions, you name it, inflammation. Inflammation is the only thing that is involved with all of those things. So we got to get rid of inflammation, and if you have any of these things, you got to get rid of that. So gut inflammation is a physical stressor. What does that mean? Well, when your body's under stress, it stimulates your adrenal gland. Your adrenal gland is the fight or flight, all right? So if something bad or scary is happening, you notice that all of a sudden you're more alert, your heart's beating, your blood pressure goes up, you can see better, the muscles are more ready for doing a battle or running or something like that. And so that comes from a chemical called cortisol, adrenaline and cortisol. And when the cortisol goes up, that causes fat deposition. So this adrenal gland was only built to have this fight or flight response for seconds, all right? 30 seconds at the most, because either you're going to get away from a situation, or it's going to be too late, or you're going to be able to fight off the problem. Our stressful life is very stressful, and so now we have lots of problems with people whose adrenal glands are stuck on. And if you have excess cortisol being dumped into the system, that's going to cause fat to deposit. So, how do you know if you have any of these issues, like a food sensitivity to gluten, casein, soy protein, egg protein, yeast? These are some of the more common ones. How do you know if you have a gut infection? How do you know if you don't have the right, I say germs, but there's actually good germs and bad germs. I know a lot of you have heard about probiotics. If you're going to take an antibiotic, which is for fighting infection, it not only fights the bad germ, but it wipes out all the good germs that are hanging out inside your digestive system. You need those good germs because they do a lot of chemical reactions, but they also kind of guard the fort. They don't let bad germs get a chance to get hooked up in there. So how do you know if you have any of this? Well, we, in functional medicine, first of all, there's some testing, but, this is what we do for a bad gut, for this. We remove the infections. We remove the sensitive food from the diet. We restore the gut lining, the flora and digestive enzymes. So what this means is it's kind of remodel the digestive system. We put back what was supposed to be there. And we repair the leaky gut, and we do that with a detox program. Now you may say, hey, I've done detox, I fasted, or I did a juice fast, or I did a liver detox, I took some supplements. What I'm talking about is a whole different story, very, very different, and unfortunately don't have the time to go into it all right now. Number 2 is unstable blood sugar. So a thing called reactive hypoglycemia. So with reactive hypoglycemia, if you don't eat for a while and you finally eat, well, then your blood sugar goes zooming up. Well, your insulin goes right with that, and then what happens is they both crash down. So now you have low blood sugar, and maybe you get headachy and shaky. A lot of people get anxious or nervous or cranky or crabby. These are people like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten for 3-4 hours, I got to eat. So what happens is that when you keep doing this with the insulin and with the blood sugar up and down, you get a thing that's called insulin resistance. What happens is that you're, normally the insulin goes to the cells, and it's a key that opens a little door so the blood sugar can get inside the cell, and then the door closes and insulin turns the key and steps away, and now the sugar doesn't go into the cell anymore. What happens is that when the door keeps getting opened all the time with these big surges of insulin, all of a sudden the cell kind of turns a deaf ear. So the insulin tries to turn the key, and somebody's broken a key off in the lock. So now you can't unlock the door to get the sugar in, and now you got a problem. And then you go from insulin resistance, and then you go to metabolic syndrome, and then you go to type 2 diabetes. Don't want that. So again, we eat food, it goes to energy. Energy is glucose, is sugar. So how your body should actually use blood glucose? Well, you have 100 trillion cells, and they're actually like little tiny people. and they're all working together, thank goodness. And so they take the glucose into the cell, and it makes ATP. This is energy. This is the gasoline of the motor of your body. So insulin opens up those cells so the sugar can go in there, like I said. And then what happens is that cortisol from your adrenal glands elevates the blood sugar when it's too low. So again, when you get hypoglycemic, you get low blood sugar. You don't eat often enough. You're eating, sugary things that zoom it up and zoom it down. Well, that puts abnormal cortisol levels there. And then people with blood sugar issues have cells that become resistant to the insulin. So now it's kind of interesting. The medical solution is more insulin. So what'll happen is that people that are insulin resistant will have high blood sugar, right? Like type 1 diabetic people would. Well, those people have a problem because their body's not producing enough insulin, so the answer is insulin, and that kind of makes sense. But type 2 diabetes, the answer being insulin is, well, your body's already desensitized to insulin, so you're just making the problem worse. This is why most people that are type 2 diabetic, they are never the same, ever, once they start going on insulin, or any of those kind of things that get the sugar into the cells. There's some other medications. So I'm letting you know that, if you're type 2 diabetic and you're doing insulin, don't go off of it. That's dangerous. And I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not telling you to do anything medically. But what I'm telling you to do is to know that the facts that that's not really the way to go. There's something causing that type 2 diabetes, and it's certainly not a lack of insulin production. What else controls your blood sugar? Well, your pancreas, that makes the insulin. Your adrenal glands, like I said, the cortisol elevates blood sugar when it's needed. Your thyroid hormone, oh my gosh, that totally regulates your glucose metabolism. Your liver, that's where it stores the glycogen. That's the storage state of the glucose, and that's in there. And then also your brain. Your brain talks to all the different parts of the body, so that helps regulate the blood sugar as well. All 5 of those have to be functioning properly, and you got to have proper testing, and you got to have good natural treatment. So number 3 is leptin. Now, what's leptin? Well, leptin is a hormone that's stored in fat, and the more fat you have, the more leptin you have. So what it's supposed to do is it tells your brain that you have enough energy, so you're satiated. So that's how you know when it's time to stop eating. So as you're eating and your body starts producing the leptin, and it gets into your bloodstream and it goes into your brain says, hey, we can stop eating. We're full, all right? We got enough energy, we're all set. But what happens is that there's a thing called leptin resistance. How does that happen? Well, leptin is stored in fat. So when you have too much fat, you have too much leptin. And just like the insulin resistance, your brain stops listening to the leptin in the blood. Well, why is that bad? Well, your brain thinks you're hungry all the time. TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone, will decrease along with T4 and T3. So what are those? Those are all thyroid hormones. And we all know that with a low functioning thyroid and poor thyroid hormones, you're going to have a lower metabolism. You're not going to burn things off very well. So what happens? You're going to gain fat. And you're going to burn off less calories, and more is going to be stored. Insulin resistance will happen. So then again, it'll increase that'll elevate the blood sugar. That'll cause lipogenesis, which is fat storage, all right, which causes more leptin, and you get more leptin resistance. It is a vicious cycle. This is one of the things that I had going on inside of me. And then lipolysis, which means breaking down the fat, that decreases as well. And you see this picture here. So they created a mouse that was unable to produce leptin, and that's what the mouse that you're seeing here on the left. See that big giant guy there? That mouse never felt like it had enough food, never had felt like it had enough energy, so therefore just kept eating. And on the right there's a normal mouse which produced the leptin, and in the middle of the meal said, oh, hey, I'm done, I don't need to eat anymore. So like we mentioned a few times already, adrenal dysfunction, poor diet, sugar, alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, again, very standard American things to do. Anemia causes lots of problems that cause your adrenal glands to kick in. food sensitivities, gut infection, chemical stressors, emotional stress, brain imbalances. See, again, like I said in the beginning, we're a system of systems, and they're all connected, and they all affect each other. So you're starting to hear some repeats as we're going along here. Effective adrenal dysfunction, again, high cortisol causes insulin resistance, weight gain, disrupts your thyroid, toxic to the brain. You can get insomnia, mineral imbalances, chronic pain, not to mention you're not a very pleasant person to be hanging around. Functional medicine treatment for adrenal disorders, you got to remove those stressors as best you can. I know some of you, that's a real difficult thing to do, and I have a plan to help you with that. And you support it with natural, safe botanicals, vitamins, minerals for a few months, and typically that takes care of it. Thyroid dysfunction, I'm an expert in that because that was originally my problem. Autoimmune attacks, Hashimoto's, Graves'. I had a condition, Hashimoto's is where your immune system, which normally just fights germs, was actually fighting my thyroid. And it was not fun, and many doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. I spent tens of thousands of dollars going to medical doctors, and again, finally I had found a doctor, a chiropractor that practices functional medicine and functional neurology, and he taught me how to take care of myself, and he also taught me how to take care of you. High cortisol, high estrogen, birth control pills, hormone replacement therapies if you're not using the right kinds, a bad liver, poor gut function, and sluggish pituitary gland. So thyroid symptoms, oh my gosh, I had pretty much all these guys. Fatigue, increase of weight, even with super low calorie intake, morning headaches that wore off, depression, constipation, sensitive to cold, circulation, numbness in the hands and the feet, cramps while just I'd just be sitting there and I'd cramp up. A lot of colds, viral bacteria issues, difficulty getting over them. Wounds would heal slow, excessive amounts of sleep. Oh my gosh, I would sleep 8, 9, 10 hours a night, and then I'd have to schedule a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day. That's how sick I was. Chronic digestion problems from hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid, itchy dry skin, dry brittle hair, losing hair, edema, swelling in the face, and loss of the outside portion of the eyebrows. So every cell in your body has thyroid receptors. So what does that mean? Your cells need 4 things to function properly. Needs oxygen, needs glucose, needs energy, right? Needs water, and number 4, thyroid hormone. Isn't that crazy? All right? So your thyroid is not just so you can lose weight, get a better metabolism. Every single part of you has thyroid receptors. So you better get that thyroid working right, and this is why you get so many symptoms, because the thyroid affects so many other systems. Anemia, you can have vitamin or mineral deficiencies like iron, B12, folate, malabsorption, again, from a bad stomach, bad gut. You hear this? Bad gut, bad gut, bad gut, right? Blood loss from your period, bleeding from the colon, stomach, or other kind of trauma. Again, autoimmune, that's pernicious anemia, genetic sickle cell and thalassemia. Anemia of chronic disease, which is chronic infections, chronic immune activation, and malignancy, cancers. Anemia causes headaches, dizziness, lightheadedness, brain fog, insomnia, hormone imbalances, also fatigue, numbness, tingling in the extremities. So you got to know what type is your problem. If it's vitamin mineral, we got to fix it with supplementation, fix your gut if that's the problem, modulate the immune system if it's an autoimmune problem, or medical intervention. Sometimes I refer out because you have a medical problem. You show up with some issues that I can't deal with, all right? I'm going to send them out, all right? Or we'll work together. That's the best. When I find a physician that's willing to work with a chiropractor because of my abilities with functional neurology and functional medicine, that's what's best for the patient. I really think that's really the best way to do, is if we have open communication with each other, rather than somebody saying, well, that's my patient, and keep your hands off of my patient. Chronic inflammation, huge problems, and it's all the things we've already talked about. Insulin, Poor diet, essential fatty acids being imbalanced, that certainly is that. Autoimmune, food sensitivities, gut infections, and obesity, and the interleukin-6 cytokines. When you gain weight, there's certain chemical reactions, and these cytokines are very highly inflammatory, and inflammation is like little machetes running around inside your body, cutting up the inside of your blood vessels, getting into the interstitial tissue, and whacking away at the cells. Not good at all. Brain fog, cardiovascular problems like stroke, hypertension, heart attack, chronic joint pain. It can trigger autoimmunity where your body's immune system is attacking you. On the lab test, high C-reactive protein, fibrinogen, and homocysteine. On the labs, that'll tell you that you're having these problems. It's kind of interesting if you have some of your labs, look and see if your doctor's ran any of this. Rarely is any of that. Maybe the fibrinogen sometimes is run, but the other two are regularly not. Natural treatment for inflammation, balance out your omega-3s and your omega-6s, address underlying causes, again, gut infections, high insulin, food sensitivities, autoimmune attacks. I know it sounds like a broken record, but again, it's all interrelated. Autoimmune conditions, our immune system, like I said, is mistakenly attacking our body, the tissue. It's making auto antibodies, right? And it's not distinguishing between the self and the non-self. So when something goes into your body that's a germ or a parasite, a virus, it doesn't have the same DNA as we do, so therefore your immune system doesn't attack it. But if you have food sensitivities, leaky gut, what happens is that the immune system gets so revved up that it starts, attacking you. I use the analogy that sometimes you can be playing so rough with your own pet, your own dog, that it turns around and bites you. And you're the one that loves it, takes care of it, and you're like, wow, what happened? How, why did the dog come after me? Well, it's because the dog got so excited that it kind of went back to its old basics and its own instincts. And when that kind of activity is opening, that's what a dog does, it bites. So actually what's going on is your immune system is biting you. So, here's all these things: Hashimoto's, Graves', psoriasis, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, Crohn's disease, lupus, pernicious anemia, Sjögren's syndrome, hepatitis, autoimmune, scleroderma, Guillain-Barré syndrome, celiac disease, Addison's disease, Meniere's disease, sarcoidosis, ulcerative colitis, vitiligo, which is the skin issue, Raynaud phenomenon, which is coldness in the extremities and the hands and feet, even with mild cold, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So a lot of these things are autoimmune. And quite frankly, the medical profession doesn't know how to deal with it. When I went to all these doctors and they didn't test me for Hashimoto's antibodies, I said, why not? And they said, well, if I found those, I would know what to do. It was more important that the doctor looked good and looked smart than to actually help me and find out what was wrong. And this is one of the big reasons why I pushed myself so hard to be such a good doctor, to find out how to take care of these things so you and your loved ones don't have to suffer. Because as I was suffering, my family did. So why would your immune system do this? Well, first of all, dysregulation. So your immune system is imbalanced because of stressors to it. So again, chronic inflammation from poor diet, bad blood sugar, bad adrenal glands, hormone imbalances, neurological. Or there could be an active antigen. This is something that is it's imbalanced due to there's an invader, and so like I said, it's always attacking. Chronic infections, parasites, gluten sensitivity, environmental toxins, undigested food. Again, on and on and on. Hormone imbalance is very common in women when you have a estrogen dominance, and this happens as women get older. It's supposed to be 40 parts progesterone to 1 estrogen, and rarely do I find that in any unhealthy woman when we do this testing. And it's kind of interesting that most gynecologists and obstetricians, that when they give a woman who's going through menopause, they give her medication, hormone replacement therapy, it's almost always just pure estrogen. And that's way off. That's not what the body does. That's not how it's built to work. And this is why a lot of women that are on these hormone replacement therapies, they feel good for a while, but then after a while, oh my gosh, they're having a hard time, certainly emotionally, acne, other skin issues, certainly mood disorders, a lot of issues, brain fog as well. Males, we're supposed to be producing and using testosterone, but there's a lot of reasons why your body will take the testosterone and make it into estrogen. So you're actually becoming more female. Well, females are normally, they put on more fat in the stomach and the hips area as a storage for energy because of having babies, pregnancy. So here a lot of guys are and there's guys out there that are getting testosterone shots or taking testosterone medication or taking these supplements to boost their testosterone, and they're causing themselves more problems. It's just pushing the testosterone right to the estrogen, and here you think you're doing something really good for yourself, and you're causing yourself a lot more grief. So the medical approach is wait until there's tissue destruction, right? So bad that squash the entire immune system with steroids. All right, that's how they deal with the immune system. So there's another thing that wipes out your immune system, and that's AIDS. So the medical approach is to put in there so many steroids, put in so much chemical in there that the immune system is just swimming in this stuff and it can't do any good. Well, yeah, that's great for if you have like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, but what about if you get a germ? What if a parasite gets in you, right? Now a common cold could be life-threatening. Not a good approach. Functional medicine approach is remove the immune system triggers. So again, food sensitivities, infections, and balance out that blood sugar. Toxicity, oh my goodness. So this is a kind of a newer thing that I've been studying, and it kind of scares the heck out of me, but this is important information for everybody to know. So since World War II, between 75 and 80,000 new synthetic chemicals have been released into the environment. Right? Less than half have been tested for potential toxicity to adult humans. So what does that mean? So that means, somewhere around 37 to 40,000 chemicals are out there in the environment impacting our bodies, being absorbed into our bodies, and there's been no testing whatsoever on the effect that has on us. Listen to this. Over 4 billion with a B, 4 billion pounds of pesticides are used annually in the United States. Every year there's 4 billion pounds of pesticides, stuff to kill bugs and weeds. Okay, this amounts to 8 pounds of this for every man, woman, and child. All right, and this is from the EPA Office of Prevention, Pesticides, Toxic Substances. This is 1999. I am shooting this in January of 2016. Now, you would think that the EPA, in their wisdom, would say, we got to cut back on this stuff, and you'd think it would be down to, 500 million. Now, I don't know. I'm looking for this information. I can't find it, but I can guarantee you it's way over 4 billion, and it's a lot more than 8 pounds per person. See, the current law in the United States allows for 350 different pesticides to be used on the food that we eat. Now, if you eat it totally organic, you might be avoiding some of this. If you don't, if you ever eat anything else, even if you wash the heck out of it, that stuff is inside the fruits and the vegetables and in the animals. Also, if you have an organic farm here and a non-organic farm here, and this farm over here is using the pesticides, that stuff doesn't know which farm to land on. That stuff blows over here. So, you got to really be careful with that. The average home has 3 to 10 gallons of hazardous materials that, we breathe. Clorox and cleaners and sprays and, stuff you spray in the bathroom after using it. The laundry detergent. Anytime you smell that stuff, those are chemicals going into your body, and they're toxic. 400 synthetic chemicals can be found in the average human body. Is that amazing? 400 different chemicals that aren't supposed to be there are usually in there, and this causes problems. So these exotoxins right? Pesticides, insecticides. Insecticide kills bugs, herbicides kills weeds, all right? We also have industrial compounds and chemical byproducts, volatile organics, which are solvents and detergents like I talked about, toxic metals, do you know an antiperspirant is aluminum? I don't think aluminum is supposed to be in our body. Plasticizers, plastics, all this good stuff, BPA's getting into your body, not good at all. Insulators like asbestos, that's not used too much, but still around. A lot of stuff gets burned, so combustion and incinerated pollutants, synthetic medications, that goes through our body, goes into our urine, goes into the sanitation water, which is supposed to be clean, and then it goes out in the ocean. It doesn't do anything about medications. Nothing's cleaned, all right? It just goes right out in the ocean. That stuff gets into the food that's out there, the plankton, and in the fish, and then guess what? We eat that, all right? We swim in that, all right? Not good. Food additives, preparation byproducts. Oh gosh, don't get me started. Cosmetic additives, things to make us look beautiful, but once you scrape it all off, all the cover up, boy, what did that do to your skin, and what is that doing on the inside of your body? Also, the glyphosates, the elephant in the room. These are the chemicals that Monsanto was putting in not only on our food but in our food with the GMO stuff. And boy, this stuff is it's terrible. It's bad. It's really bad stuff. We just don't want that. So xenobiotic compounds in the adipose tissue of Americans. Ready for this? Oh boy, this was from 1982. This is again EPA. So they tested for in the fat. They took 1,000, I think it was about 1,000 people, and they took the fat out of them and tested what was in the fat. Well, first of all, styrene. Okay, so the styrofoam cups and those kind of things, that was in the fat 100% of the time. 1,4-dichlorobenzene, a very strong, terrible toxic product. Xylene, 100% of the time. Ethylphenol, again, very toxic substance, 100% of the time. Dioxin, poison, TCDD, 100% of the time it was in there. 9 other compounds like benzene, toluene, DDD, right? Those stuff, See, if this stuff was in your workplace, your employer would go to jail. All right? See, these things are so toxic that you're not supposed to be around them. PCBs, all right? Those things, and that was the lowest one. Those are bad. So the state of knowledge, our chemical environment. Like I said, there's over 8,000 chemicals in the federal inventory. 2,000 to 3,000 new chemicals are added every year. Again, 4 billion pounds released in the environment. Ready for this? 72 million pounds of that stuff is known as carcinogens, as cancer-causing. Why is this allowed? Somebody pays somebody enough money, anything's possible, I guess. So there's a thing called the Basic Screening Information Data Set, SIDS. What it is it takes about $205,000 to test to see if a chemical is safe for a human being to be around, not much less ingest, but just to be around it. So if you got 2,000 to 3,000 new chemicals every year, there's just not enough money to test it all. There's just not enough. And so the stuff just gets out there. The FDA, the EPA just listens to the company that makes it and says, oh yeah, we've done all these tests. Yeah, sure, it's safe, right? And then we find out later it makes people sick. So this is known as the toxic iceberg. So this is what we know of the chemicals that are out there, proven harm, all right? There's certain things out there, DDT, this kind of stuff. You don't want to be standing underneath it while the crops are getting sprayed, because we know this is very toxic for you, and that's been proven. But this is the stuff we don't know. Some of it's been partially proven to be sick. There's some that we don't even recognize yet as causing problems, and then forever we won't know. It's just too complicated to figure it out. You can't say that this is exactly what's causing this problem. There's just too much going on out there to cause us problems. So I show this to you because I want to let you know something. The things that you know for sure that are not good for you, it's just 10%. 10%, very small. There's 90% that's hidden that we don't know for sure, and half of it we'll never know. So this is what we need to do. You've got to do proper testing, right? You got to know what's going on inside your body. You got to know what's inside your body. So what I do is a thing called the Complete Metabolic Panel 60. It's a blood draw. We go to a lab and they take your blood, and then we get the results in about anywhere from 5 to 8 days. When you get tested at your physician for thyroid, usually it's only 2 tests. I do anywhere from 7 to 9 tests depending on the patient, right? That's a very thorough evaluation of your thyroid. Most physicians only do 1 or 2 tests for your liver. I do 5. I got to see a lot of things are going on inside that liver. I got to see if you have anemia, so we're checking your red blood cells 6 different ways. We got to know if you have any hidden infections. So I do all kinds of white blood cells, looking at your immune system and the cells that it creates. We look to see how you're digesting your protein. We look at inflammation. We look at the pH of the blood and the pH of the urine. So we're doing all kinds of things way beyond what your physician will do. And the reason why your physician, I'll come to this and I'll talk about this in just a minute, but your physician doesn't run enough tests. They just don't. It's not what's called standard of care, therefore the insurance isn't going to pay for it. We also do a test that's a little finger prick. You give us 5 drops of blood, and this is 135 food sensitivities. We got to know if you're sensitive to any of the food. Now, when I talk about sensitivities, people go, "Oh, well, I don't throw up, or I don't get diarrhea, or I don't have to rush to the hospital," like as if this is a peanut allergy, like you're going to have a huge anaphylactic shock and it's life-threatening. Food sensitivities is much more subtle. You may or may not have any symptoms, but it's certainly causing you a lot of problems. Metal toxicity, like I said, there's a lot of issues going on with the toxicity, and we got to see metal. Also mineral deficiencies. Everybody knows vitamins are good for you if you have a good vitamin, but the vitamins don't work unless you have the minerals. Minerals are like the flame that sits under the pot that cooks the meat in the pan. So you got to have those minerals right. Now this is from hair. We cut a little bit of the hair off the back of your head, or we can use the pubic hair if there's no hair on your head, or very little. And we can do that, and that'll tell us what's going on in your hair, which will tell us about metal toxicity and mineral deficiencies. Also, numerous other tests. I might do hormone testing, autoimmune testing, test you for parasites, essential fatty acid test. Maybe even look into your DNA. We look in your DNA, and unfortunately you may have inherited from mom and dad something that shortchanges the way that your chemistry works, and you need to have certain supplements and a certain type of supplement to overcome that deficiency. So this is what I started to talk about. Have you been told that your labs are normal? I hear this all the time. Dr. Harper, I don't need to do any labs. They're all normal. And they bring them in, and I go, well, look at this and look at that and all that. And they go, well, why didn't my doctor tell me about that? Because lab ranges are inaccurate. Let me explain. They use what's called bell curves. So a bell curve, you guys know what this is. So it looks like a bell. So there's 20% that are going to be above average, 60% that are average, and then 20% that are below average. So it's kind of like grades. You're going to have 20% get A's and B's, you're going to have 20% get D's and F, and 60% are going to get C's, if all being equal. You can't do that in labs because the way they do this is that every year they take these lab results and they put them in a big computer, and the computer averages the lab results of this past year from all the patients that went, and they say, this is our labs. Well, let me ask you something. Who's going and getting their labs done? Well, a few people that aren't sick, but the vast majority of people who are getting labs done, those are sick people. So here you have a bell curve of what's average for 6 people. So I don't use those. I use a much smaller range. I don't use this big, giant, just so you're not dead range. I use a much narrower range. And it's called functional lab values, and they're more sensitive to real problems. Now, I didn't come up with these things. There's a group of doctors called the Endocrine Society, and they came up with these. They're much more sensitive. So let me show you here. So here's our bell curve, right? 20% too low, 20% too high. Here's our 60% that are, quote, normal, all right? Well, this is actually an average. An average doesn't mean normal. So I use these functional ranges that are smaller. So right in here, you have a problem. you're sick. But it's just not detectable if you use the lab ranges that your physician uses. This is why so many of you get your lab results and, you're normal. Crazy. So, were all your tests normal? So let's take a look at glucose here. So the traditional range is 65 to 110. That's huge, all right? That's 45 points. That's a huge swing either way. Your body's much more sophisticated to work right in the smaller range. So my ranges is 85 to 100, only 15 range. You go to your physician and your result is a 73, you're normal. In my office, you have hypoglycemia. You're on your way to insulin resistance. You're on your way to metabolic syndrome. You're well on your way to type 2 diabetes, right? See, this is why people get so sick in our country, is because they're told that they're normal when they're not. So we fix the hypoglycemia in that with that functional range. So let's talk about the brain. We talk about how the brain and the metabolism work together. So if you have brain fatigue and it's misfiring, like I said, that causes hormonal disturbances and that causes fat deposition. So again, if you have metabolic problems and you have neurological problems, they feed on each other. As one gets worse, the other gets worse. And as this gets worse, this gets worse. And it's a downward spiral. So both lead to fat gain and bad health. You got to treat both sides of the equation. That's why I practice functional medicine and functional neurology. So and you have a disruption in the brain's electrical vitality, how strong it works, like how bright is the light bulb. You can get, if it's low in your brain, you got chronic pain, chronic fatigue. You can have migraine headaches of being light sensitive, blurred vision, increased sweating, difficulty falling or staying asleep, irritable bowel syndrome, urinary tract infections, high blood pressure, fibrofog or flu-like symptoms. I can't really think very clearly. I'm all clogged up here. Heart palpitations, increased heart rate, and irritable bowel syndrome. So symptoms resulting again from electrical vitality problems. You can have depression, anxiety, having a hard time reading, difficulty adding or subtracting, difficult expressing what you're trying to say, difficulty understanding what others are saying to you. You can have loss of short-term or long-term memory or both. You can have loss of sensation, which is numbness. You can, if you notice somebody's handwriting's changing, that's usually a brain issue. More irritable or angry than normal, problems with balance, tripping, dropping things, and learning disabilities like dyslexia, ADD, and ADHD. So how do we test and support your brain? Well, I do a functional neurological exam. By doing my exam, which is very thorough, I can check all different parts of your brain and it'll tell me what's going on. So as a doctor that uses functional neurology, I do a thorough neurological exam that checks the various parts of your nervous system, brain, peripheral nerves, and see how they're functioning. Has a physician ever checked your brain to see if it's functioning properly in relationship to you being overweight? Nobody did when I was getting checked, and every patient I ever have that come into me, they go, I've been to a neurologist, like guys in Mayo and Johns Hopkins, and they didn't do half of what you did. And the other thing too is I'll tell you what the exam means instead of just going, I think that's baloney that the doctors scare you like that. I'm just going to tell you up front. I'm going to let you know what I know when I know it. So in addition to that, our office is one of the very few in the country that uses what's called QEEG, Qualitative Electroencephalogram. And this evaluates the brain, and we also use neurofeedback to retrain those parts of the brain to become healthy again. Now, here's a medical doctor that I really respect. This guy doesn't care, who's getting paid. He doesn't care who came up with it. This guy just wants people better. This is Frank Duffy, MD. He's the he's a neurologist, all right? Bright guy. Head of neuroimaging department, and he's the head of neuroimaging research at Boston's Children's Hospital, one of the top hospitals in the world. He's a Harvard Medical School professor, right? No slouch there. This guy conducted an independent review of the literature on neurofeedback for clinical EEG, and here's his summarization. The literature which lacks any negative study of substance, which means they all showed that it helps and there was no side effects, suggests that the EEG biofeedback therapy should play a major therapeutic role in many difficult areas. Listen to this. In my opinion, this is him still talking, If any medications that demonstrate such a wide spectrum of efficacy, which again means it works really well, it doesn't have side effects, it would be universally accepted and widely used. That's amazing. This is a medical doctor that has credentials that are coming out his ears, and he's saying that this is the best thing since sliced bread. And you're going, well, how come we don't get to see it? Well, as we all know, pharmaceutical companies are very powerful in this country. So if anything that is helpful that doesn't make them money, well, let's just say it's not helpful. So anyway, so here's one of my patients, and this is what a brain map looks like. And it's very simple. You just sit there, you wear this little funny looking cap, and it has little wires that are connected to a computer. Now, there's nothing going into your head, all right? This isn't shock therapy. It's just a sensor, like a thermometer. You put it in your mouth, and it just tells you what your temperature is. It's a sensor. The sensor gives me these different colors here with the different brain waves. So you have your delta, your theta, your alpha, and your beta. So I think of these guys as 4 members of a band. You got your drummer, bass player, lead guitar, and your singer. When you have 4 members of a band playing the same song, at the same speed, at the same tempo, and has the same key, it sounds like a good, decent song. Maybe not your favorite song, or maybe they might even not be that great at it, but at least you recognize it's a song. If one of the members of the band starts playing a different song, that's what you hear. You hear the person that's going out. Or if everybody's playing right and the singer sings out of key, that's what you hear. Or everybody's going at a certain speed and all of a sudden the lead guitar guys are going crazy faster than everybody else. That's what you're going to notice. The brain does the same thing. If these individual brain waves, which all have specific functions, if they're not working right, you don't work right. So what happens is that you, for the therapy of this, once we have this map, what we want to do is you see these yellows and reds, that means that it's too high. And the blues, the light blue and the dark blue, means it's too low in those areas. So you just sit there and you have a couple sensors on your ears and a couple on your head, and you're connected to the computer. And what happens is that what we want to do is that we want to train the low parts, train them up, and then we want to train the high parts down. So what we're trying to do is bring them into equalization. So the way we do that is that you watch a movie. You listen to music. And as you're watching the movie and as you're listening and as your brain's training properly, and you don't make it do anything, the brain just does this on its own. As long as you're training properly, you get to listen to the music and you get to watch the movie. But within 1/10 of a second that your brain goes outside of the training, those things stop. The movie, the music, whatever you're doing goes away. And your brain goes, hey, I was watching that. I was listening to that. I use the analogy of is that we've all seen this, at least if you haven't had the personal experience. You're sitting down and you're watching the big game, all right? And it's getting really exciting and it's down to the last few seconds. And then somebody steps between you and the TV and says, hey, I got to talk to you right now. What does your brain do? I was watching that. You grab the remote and pause the channel for a minute. So your brain freaked out because it was so involved in what was going on. So what happens is your brain starts going through a filing system trying to bring back the movie or bring back the music. And it starts doing different things, and then all of a sudden it trains right back in. 1/10 of a second, it comes back on. The brain thinks, I know how to do this. I know how to play this game. And so we're training your brain to balance out these brain waves. And when you balance out the brain waves, you get better. One of my patients, insomnia, anxiety, depression, slow metabolism, fantastic results. Very, very happy lady. She's lost a bunch of weight, spouse and her getting along really well. Big success story. And sleeping at night. Wow, what a gift. So what's next? I recommend you schedule an appointment. All right. If I was a patient and I lived or if I was near me in any way, shape, or form, and I have patients that drive an hour and a half each way to come see me. I have patients that I work with all around the nation. We work through Skype or through internet, something like that. And so I'd make an appointment. I really would. So this is what happens in your first 2 visits. If you can get to my office, I'm going to be able to do a complete neurological and structural evaluation. I'm going to ask you to bring sweatpants or shorts, t-shirt, or wear them, so I can get to you from the elbow down to the fingertips, from the kneecaps to the toes, and then from the neck up. Bring in the labs. I'll review what you got. You're going to fill out this thing called the Metabolic Assessment Form. I think I'm up to about 200 different questions. You're going to rate it on 0 to 3. 0 means it never happens. 3 means it's all the time. 1 and 2 means something in between. You're going to fill that out. That's going to tell me tons about you. It's going to save you thousands of dollars in labs. I don't have to do the labs anymore. I've gotten so good. I shouldn't say any labs, but I'm not going to do some labs because I could tell based upon this paper that you fill out, I can tell exactly where your issue is and why you need it. We're definitely going to do the labs that I already talked about. And it's really important you got to be with your spouse or significant other. Now, why does that person have to be there? Well, this is the thing. I'm all about results. I'm all about success stories. And one of the things that I learned is that when I had somebody at home that understood exactly what the problem was with the spouse or significant other, and they knew exactly what the treatment was for this, I had a team member. There wasn't 2 people involved with this, there was 3. When the spouse or significant other does not come to the first couple visits, actually what happens is that there's 2 versus 1. And the one at home starts to kind of sabotage what's going on. So I don't do that anymore. So if you have somebody who has any influence on your life, even if it's not a spouse or significant other, if you're going to ask somebody's opinion, your parents or your child or a spouse, a sibling, neighbor, cousin, the mailman, whoever you're going to talk to about this, to whether this is a good idea or not to do, they need to be there. Because if you're looking at their opinion, they need to have the information. There's no way you can go home and go, well, I think this is what he did, or this is what he told me, I think. Also, two more eyeballs and 2 more ears is very helpful in the long run in the success of the patient. Because again, I'm all about success with my patients. Visit 2, if I can accept you into your program, and I don't accept everybody, overview the further testing that needs to be done, the neurological findings that we did from the first day, overview of your program of care, and review of the finances. And that's all in writing, all right? Everything that I'm going to talk about that day is going to be in writing for you to take home to look over. And again, you got to be with the spouse, significant other, or whoever you're going to ask the opinion of. So we only accept about 10 weight loss patients a month. The first 2 visits are normally $450. Since you've either been to this workshop or you've watched this DVD, it's only $65. Well, $450 versus $65? Yeah, I don't have to spend an hour telling you how we do this. So, matter of fact, I pretty much have everybody come in for the $65, and I don't use that hour of my day to go over all this. I just have people watch the videos now. So if you schedule now, I'll include the neurofeedback brain mapping, which is a $250 value. So the evaluation would be the examination and the consultation. Then what would happen is that if you get going and make that appointment now, I will give you that neurofeedback mapping, and we'll be able to take a look at your brain and know exactly what's going on and what the problem is. So I have some rules for acceptance of your case or you as a patient in my office. You got to be willing to make lifestyle changes. There is no way that you can keep doing the same stupid things you're doing right now and get your health back and lose the weight. It's impossible. Don't think there's some magic pill or some magic thing that they're going to give you that you can eat all the crap and garbage that you want and sodas and blah, 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 and still be losing weight. It's just, it's impossible. That's fantasy thinking, and you'll just die fat thinking that. You got to take accountability for your own health. I am so surprised how many people blame their parents. How many people come in and say it's up to the, the government owes me. The government should take care of this. It's their responsibility. It's my insurance company's issue. Look, it's your issue. When I finally took responsibility for my own health and I took care of it myself, that's when I got healthy, right? When it was up to me to get better based upon what the doctor had told me based upon my labs and my exam, when I took the responsibility, that's when I got well, permanently well. And it wasn't that hard. It was very easy, actually. Insurance and Medicare only pays a very small portion of this, if it pays anything at all. See, insurance is built for what's called standard of care. What's standard of care? You go in, you spend about a minute with your doctor and you tell him what's going on. Another minute is a poke, poke, poke. Then the doctor writes a prescription for some tests. You get some tests, you go back and see the doctor gives you some medication. Okay? That is standard of care. That's not what I do. I do very thorough evaluation, very thorough treatments, and most of what I do is not considered standard of care. So therefore, it's not covered. On the other hand, you can keep doing the same stupid thing you're doing, thinking it's going to get you better because your insurance pays for it, but it doesn't, and you're not going to get better. It's not going to change. So, but we've made our care plans really, really affordable, so much so that about 96% of everybody who comes into our office that I can accept into the program, they can get the care for as little as $200 to $400 a month. Now, most of my care programs are about 6 months in duration. That's about how long it takes to get you healed and squared away and train you and teach you and get you on board with what we're doing. You will not only have the care and the treatment during that time, I will teach you how to take care of yourself. I will teach you what to eat, what not to eat, what supplements, how to buy supplements, how to buy food, how to cook it, how to prepare it, when, where, how much, all of it. You'll know all that. So the biggest value, along with me being a detective figuring out what's wrong with you, being a doctor, then we work together to get you better, is me being a teacher and teaching you how to take care of yourself, right? That's where the health is. That's where the gold is. Now, so those are 6-month programs. This $200 to $400 a month is on a payment program of anywhere from 12 to 18 months, right? So this is not cheap. This isn't something that you're not going to be able to pay with change that you find on the corner or on the curb. But I'm going to tell you something. Every single patient who's come to my office, paid the fee, done the program, and really, really tried, really did what I told them to do, they say it was worth it. They say they would pay much more over and over again because of the health and the fun and the longevity that they're experiencing right now. It's funny. We can walk around with cell phones that cost $100, $200 a month. We can have internet and cable in the house. That's $100, $200 a month. We go out to eat, 5, 6 times a month, which is, a lot of money. We buy cars that are extravagant, homes that are extravagant vacations, extravagant gifts. And then when somebody says, pay for your own health, everybody freaks out. So think about that, all right? The value, everything else will melt away. All material things will always go away. They will return to the dust of the earth. You'll return to the dust of the earth at some point, but goodness gracious, wouldn't you like to be happy and healthy for all the time that you got left? I know I am. I know I want to be that way. So this is very, very important. On a scale of 0 to 10, how serious is your weight problem to you? How big of a deal is this? How's it affected your relationships, your work, your ability to enjoy life? I mean, I was hating life being fat. I hated it. Hated it, hated it. I was lonely. I was sad. The people I would attract into my life were not very pleasant, neat people. They would take advantage of me because I was so needy, because I thought I was so bad, because I was so fat. Oh, gosh, it was terrible. Now, great people in my life, and it's a well-balanced, they're very, very well-balanced relationships. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about eliminating this problem? Look, folks, if you're a 7 or less, please don't call me. Please don't schedule an appointment. People who are 7 or less don't take responsibility. They don't follow my recommendations, and they don't get results, and they blame me. If you're an 8, 9, or 10, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready to work with you and make your life change and do better and have more fun and having that excitement again. And we're going to have a good time doing it too. So again, due to time constraints, I can only accept those that are really, truly committed. That's it. That's all I have to say. And I know it's a ton, believe me. It is an amazing thing in my life that I know so much on how to help people. And I got to let you know, I'm constantly learning. And I didn't share, probably only a third of what I know about how to get people happy and healthy. So again, call, come in, let me see what I can do for you. I know that everybody's big worry is the time and the finances. We're going to be all upfront about it. You're going to know everything that's going on. You're going to know everything I know about you, and we're going to do everything we can to get you better. My goal is to leave no stone unturned until we find out what's wrong and until we fix it. And that is my goal and my promise with you. If there's anything I could finish with is just let you know this. I was dying. I had gotten so fat that I was dying. My triglycerides, my cholesterol, my peripheral nerves, my brain fog, the swelling, the sleeping, the irritability, the depression, the anxiety. I was dying. And I'm not that anymore. I'm none of those things anymore. I'm a happy, healthy, very pleased person to be alive. And if there's anybody out there that feels the way that I felt, I'm sorry you feel that way. I would love to help you. I would love to bring you along with me. Join me and my team here that is doing magic and changing things for people. Because when you are happy and healthy and fit, trim, you love yourself. You don't need anybody else to love you. And because you love yourself, people come and love you too. Thank you very much for our time together. I wish you all the best. God bless.